Manchester United were really bad against Wolves, but why? They spent so much money on good players, they've got a great manager, shouldn't they be better by now? And was that because they simply played poorly? Or is it because Wolves were actually really good? Well, let's first look at what Man United were trying to do. And we know they had this 4-1-4-1 shape. You had Mason Mount playing off the left, Fernandes here, Rashford through the middle, and that meant you could play Garnacho out wide with Antony. And what you'll notice, just from the shape alone, is that it gives Casemiro quite a lot of responsibility, quite a lot of ground to cover on his own. He's quite isolated. You've got two fullbacks, Wan-Bissaka and Shaw, but they're not really going up and down like this. Instead, what they had was Shaw was coming inside to form this classic new box that everyone likes. So that meant Martinez had to go wide. Varane comes inside more as the one. So you've got this sort of shape with Wan-Bissaka forming the three, and that's generally what they did from build-up. And Wolves absolutely knew this from the very start. They played in a 4-4-2, really compressed lines. What Wolves want to do is try and restrict space and force Man United out wide. So the shape will be in the middle, like a big block in the middle of the pitch, but if the ball goes to the left side, say, over here to Martinez, then they'll all shift over to this side of the pitch to make it nice and narrow. So what they want to be able to do is block any passes going forward. So you notice that Lamina is a little bit deeper than João Gomez and Núñez here, because he's trying to stop passes going into Mount and Fernandes, a bit of a screening block here. Rashford's in the last line here, maybe. You've got Mount trying to pick up space, but basically they can't get the ball through because Wolves have made the space really narrow and compact on this side of the pitch. And because Martinez has no real forward options here, he can't play the ball to anyone because it'll get lost. Instead, he has to go this way. So when the ball goes this way, that isn't a trigger for Wolves to move all the way over to the other side of the pitch. They will move over this way. That's what they're going to do as soon as that ball goes over to this side. The goalkeeper then spots Wan-Bissaka in space. He's the only free player. The ball goes to him. Now he's the free player because of the shape, but also because Wolves don't mind this. They're trying to show the ball wide because Wan-Bissaka is one of the weakest players on the ball in this Man United team. As soon as Wan-Bissaka receives the ball, that is a trigger instantly for Matheus Nunes to sprint out to try and block Wan-Bissaka, because what you've got here is Wan-Bissaka really wants to play the ball inside. Man United want to try and play through Wolves, not round the outside, because that's where they get blocked. So Wan-Bissaka can't play this ball inside because Nunes has curved his run to block that pass inside. What you've also got is everyone else has come round. So Cunha's gone from being the forward here. He's going to block this pass back into Onana. So that's not really an option now. Wan-Bissaka can't go into Varane. That's what he can't do because of the where they're placing. So they're not trying to like get so close they win the ball. They're trying to prevent the next pass going to where they want it to. And so then the rest of Wolves' team pulls across. Casemiro is blocked by Lamina, pushes up a little bit, or maybe he's blocking the pass into Fernandes. Either way, there's no pass into this part of the pitch. So the natural option then is into Antony down the wing. And this is where Aït-Nouri gets tight, pushes up to him here. So Wan-Bissaka now can't really play into Antony because it's blocked, so they can squeeze up. Varane has spotted all this going on in the meantime. He comes across, followed by Cunha. He comes across to help out Wan-Bissaka. He couldn't really be here, the right side of centre back, because then you're going to leave this big space in here. So Martinez comes across, Casemiro's still in here. But the ball does go to Varane. He's followed by Cunha, who curves right round him, forcing Varane to go backwards to Wan-Bissaka. Núñez steps in, wins the ball, goes out for a throw-in. So this is within the first 37 seconds of the game, and is obviously a bit of a problem for Man United because they seem to have been sussed out immediately. Wolves know that Wan-Bissaka is the weak link. They're trying to show the ball to one side, then let it go to the other, chase across, close it down, and stop Man United. And they're squeezing really high, which you wouldn't normally expect at Old Trafford. You maybe think they sit a bit deeper. But Wolves are going man-to-man. They're stopping Man United's options on the ball, which is a problem unless you're really brave and very risky on the ball in possession. So Wolves keep doing this for the first part of the game. Man United can't play through them. There's no real highlights for the first 10 minutes of the game. But what you get about 5 minutes in is Onana's on the ball. Now they do the thing again where Shaw inverts in behind. So you get Casemiro and Shaw here. Martinez pulls out wide. Varane's in the middle here. And you've got Cunha's always watching this bit here, so he's putting pressure on the goalkeeper or Varane. Onana's got the ball. They're happy for Onana to have the ball here, and we're going to find out why. Because although we've got Shaw here and Casemiro here, Sarabia has positioned himself so he's between Martinez and Shaw, so Onana can't ever really play this way, which means that the spare man is still Wan-Bissaka on this side. And then you've got Neto playing close to Shaw in here as well. He's blocking this bit of the pitch. And you've got João Gomez coming across just near to Casemiro, because Lamina is still dropping off to block any passes if the ball goes this side into Fernandes, and Mount's then kind of lost in amongst this over here. And so, because this is what Wolves are doing, they're forcing Man United to play the way they want. Onana has the ball here, doesn't want to play this because he'll just come out and spring onto it. Can't play it forward to Shaw because Neto will come in and nick it. He doesn't want to play it to Casemiro because he'll come in and try and nick it. Maybe he could play long. Not the best option. They want to play through the lines. That's what they want to do. And who's in space? Who's the man in space? It's Wan-Bissaka. So Onana looks up, doesn't fancy this, and decides, I'll maybe go over this side instead. Turns his body to shape this way, to pass this way. As soon as he turns to make this, what you'll see is that Núñez instantly knows it's going to happen and he starts to go. And so Onana doesn't fancy making that pass because that's going to be certain doom if you pass to Wan-Bissaka under pressure there. So instead, Onana puts it back onto his left foot. And as this is happening, of course, Wolves are squeezing up. Cunha's getting ever closer. He's trying to show him onto this side now. Onana on his left foot. The only real option he's got is Garnacho, who's pulled wide onto this sort of position here. So he's then going to try and hit a long ball. But here's where we see what else Wolves are doing deeper in the pitch, because you've got Mount wandering around over here with Semedo tight to him, man to man. Then you've got Dawson pushes over, Kilman pushes over, Aït-Nouri. Because remember, what they've done is they're trying to squeeze the pitch in half. So whenever the ball goes to the left side, this is the half they're in. Whenever it goes down to the right side, then they'll move to this side here. That's what they're trying to do, and it squeezes like this all the time. So naturally, other Man United players are moving around here. Fernandes will be more inside because they're in half the pitch. You want to be nice and compact. Your keeper's going long, so you can win the second ball. It's very important. So what you've got is Lemina's always staying quite tight to Fernandes, making sure he's not getting the ball. He's a danger man. Rashford will wander over here. Anthony might be over here, keeping the width. They've done this quite a lot, Man United. So what you've got, as we said, Semedo is tight to Mason Mount. He's not an option for the pass. The ball has to go long from Onana. He goes long. You've got Garnacho. But because you've got Dawson over here, and Dawson goes tight to Garnacho, he's going to win that battle every single time. And now, because of the shape that Wolves have, they push back in here. They're going to have loads of players close together. What then happens is the ball's knocked on. They have players in position to be able to win the second ball and the third ball. And United are kind of out of shape. They've got players either side of all the Wolves players. The ball bounces around. Wolves win it back. Man United try and squeeze them a bit, the ball goes back to the keeper, and then suddenly Wolves have the ball, all from this pressure they've put on, showing them one side to the other. Man United don't play through it with any brave passes, and Wolves get possession back. Now, of course, Wolves couldn't always keep Man United pressed back, and there'll be times when they manage to send the ball backwards. Martinez and Varane have a bit of space on the ball. Now, in this position, you don't want to go and suddenly push into them like this, because you'll free up space too easily. What you want to do is hold your shape and wait for Man United to come to you in this position. You've got the middle of the pitch blocked. If it goes left side, we know they're going to push over this side and block it. So the only real option is a switch pass. But what happens in this position is that Martinez and Varane carry the ball out, and Varane's got the ball here. Now, what you want to do is try and have dialogue with Casemiro, because he's going to be able to help you link with everything else. You'll still notice again, he's quite isolated in this sort of position here. He is playing as a single pivot role. They want to try and play through him, but they can't really do it because as soon as they get the ball, one of these guys is going to snap onto him. But they bring the ball forward, it goes into Casemiro. And then we start to see Man United's shape here, because as the ball goes into Casemiro, he can then spin on the ball in the tiny bit of space that he's managed to get. This happens sometimes with good players. He moves into a little bit of space, gets here. He's in between the Wolves shape. Now you see why you've got the 4-1-4-1, because now you've got Anthony wide right, hugging the touchline. You've got Garnacho hugging the touchline. So he's got two options. You can ping the ball out wide here, ping the ball out here. You can't really play through the lines because you've got these guys. Rashford drops here, which means the defense can squeeze up a little bit, which is kind of a silly idea because no one really makes the run in behind. If Rashford drops and these guys go in behind, you've got an option to hit over the top, but they don't. And Wolves, what they have is this deep, not deeper line, they've got quite a nice line actually, nice and compact. Rashford drops from his position, which then allows him to step up a tiny little bit, which squeezes the space even more. So there's no forward passes in here that they can really play. And so Casemiro looks up and pings it out to Anthony on this wing. And here comes Anthony, the very expensive right winger that Man United signed to give them all sorts of creativity on that right wing. Now when Anthony gets the ball in this position, we all know what he's going to do. He's not going to go this way. He's going to want to come into this bit of the pitch so he can shoot. He only uses his left foot. Wolves know exactly how to defend this. All they can do is shuttle across in the way they've been. Look at the spacing. It's perfect distances between the players. They move over slowly, and all they have to do is make sure they don't go too far to block the left side of the pitch so he can't come inside here. If Wan-Bissaka is quicker and sprints up to get here and forms an overlap, that becomes a problem because then Aït-Nouri has to worry whether he goes with Wan-Bissaka to stop the cross, even though that's not really a threat when it's Wan-Bissaka anyway. Or you got Núñez has to come across here and block Anthony, and that might create space or a little bit of confusion, a little bit of line space for someone like Fernandes to creep in. So if you have the overlap quicker, Anthony can come inside, but Anthony doesn't wait for the overlap. He has the ball and then moves inside already, hits a cross that hits Aït-Nouri, and it bounces loose. It's a really bad cross, but it doesn't matter. That happens sometimes. How they recover is what the interesting part is. Do they counter press? What do they do? Well, the ball bounces loose and Man United retain possession. And then Fernandes comes across here, so he's part of a triangle now. This is perfect. They'll have trained in this every single day forever. There's a little rondo. You've got 2v3. So you've got a perfect triangle. This is exactly what you want. This ball could be fired in, fired back, fired into Fernandes. Maybe he pushes out wide here for Fernandes to run into the space in behind. Perfect situation. And Wan-Bissaka takes this a bit long, passes it back to Anthony, because He's an option, he's safe here, not a brave pass. Now, what's Antony going to do in this position? Where's he going to go? What's he going to do? I think it might be going inside until this defender knows to. Matthias Nunes knows all he's got to do is have his body weight. So you can see his weight is on his left foot, so he can push off to block it going inside if he does. If Antony plays a 1-2 with Wan-Bissaka and pushes in, he's going to be able to block the run and stop him. If he manages to go this side and try and push him this way, then Nunes just steps in and blocks him. It's too predictable. Man United are too easy to read in this situation. Even worse is what happens next, because he could play it into Wan-Bissaka and puts wide here. There's loads of options they've got here. You see they're starting to squeeze them now. They're starting to squeeze in. And then what you have is Man United's triangle goes to being a flat line with no real options other than going wide. Wolves squeeze up and they have a perfect defensive triangle now. They've got depth, they've got width. There's nothing Man United can do in this situation. They completely wasted the chance. And so the ball goes wide to Wan-Bissaka. He's the only real option he's got because he only has a left foot. Wan-Bissaka then has no option really but to go backwards because we'll squeeze them. It goes backwards all the way to the goalkeeper. That is from free possession in their own half, pushing up through the lines, and they've been shown back instantly by Wolves. Now again, they can't just go and like scream up and try and push them here, but they squeeze up a little bit. Onana has the ball. This is at 14:46 and time's important here because what you'll see next is Onana wants to play the ball forward, again through the lines, through the midfield. That's what you want. Here's Casemiro dropping in deep, always someone tight to him. João Gomez is stopping this play through the middle. Wolves' whole game plan, the high press, is to stop Man United playing through the middle. They want to show the ball wide. Ball comes in from Onana. Casemiro puts it straight back. Be safe, don't lose the ball. Kind of makes sense. Ball goes to Onana. We're at 15:06 now. The ball has been shared around the back line for about, I don't know, 20 seconds, something like that. Here's Wan-Bissaka. He's coming forward. He turns and looks up. Look who's here. Matthias Nunes is waiting for him to try and do something. As soon as he looks up, he'll just close him down. So again, Wan-Bissaka takes a safe option, pushes it back to the goalkeeper. We're now at 15:17. Here's Onana on the ball. This is a good 30, 40 seconds later. Onana looks up, Mason Mount drops to try and get involved. He was a free man earlier because he's getting marked by Semedo or maybe one of the other midfielders. He drops in, has another midfielder pushing up on him, doesn't fancy the risky pass around the corner, pushes it straight back. So Onana is on the ball again. We're now at 15:36. They've gone round in the block like this, playing safe, but this is a long time. It's almost a minute we're at now. So Onana has the ball again. Wan-Bissaka is a free man. They don't care because he can't play the ball. So they're watching all of this here. Maybe Martinez, you could ping it out, but again, he'll push over and get there. And so Onana plays out to Wan-Bissaka. It's the natural choice. He's the free man. And what you get here is Nunes has come across. He's trying to block him, but again, he's trying to block this pass into the middle. That's what he's trying to do. Got his angle, his positioning just slightly wrong here, and Casemiro shows, and Wan-Bissaka can slip the ball through. But someone's followed Casemiro and steps in, wins the ball, and that's possession turned over again. Now that's inside the first 16 minutes, and nothing really changed throughout the game. That's why it was so boring. Man United couldn't play. They weren't being brave in possession. They weren't trying to play through lines. They were being safe with Onana, who couldn't hit it long because they had small players. Now, Wolves players are all quite big. Think of some of the players that Arsenal signed this season. Big, tall lads. The reason is, when you're playing against a man-marked team, you can then play long from the goalkeeper, and you've got big lads who can win it. Garnacho's not winning that header. Mount's not winning it. Rashford's not winning it. Fernandes not winning it. They're quite a small team. They want to play on the ground through the lines. All you got to do is show them out wide and block it, and then you can squeeze them up because they're not playing brave. So this is something they need to improve on. And that was them in possession. Out of possession, they weren't very good either. And they're doing things they were doing last season that don't really make sense to me anyway. We can have a look at what those are. But basically, this does not look as well drilled a team as Wolves were, which is surprising because this cost an awful lot more money. And what you had from their high press was that they try and press normally in a front three. So Garnacho, Rashford, Antony. But they always leave the wide area free. So they leave this bush out here, always free, normally for the fullback to receive it. You might say, well, that's kind of what Wolves were doing. But the difference was, when the ball went out to Wan-Bissaka here, who's been left free, and Nunes would instantly push on him to force Wan-Bissaka into either a rush pass forwards that they'd be able to lock onto and win the ball out of Antony, or they have to go back towards the goalkeeper, and that's when they then pushed up. But what Man United do is they allow the ball to come out here, so they show it, maybe they play through lines, whatever, but the ball goes to the fullback here, and then this guy can just carry it because no one comes across. So it's almost as if there's pressing trap as they're waiting for the team to push up, so they can then engage them at halfway, so that halfway they can win the ball, and then that would mean, in theory, there is space in behind the defence, you see. So if you try and engage them too high, there's no space, it's hard to score. If you engage them at halfway, that's what happens. Instead, what happens is the fullback can just carry up the pitch. Wan-Bissaka engages round a bit here, but then by then they've got a triangle to play with, they play through, and then they're away. And you saw how many times that Wolves were able to play through very quick passes, and Cunha especially was able to just carry the ball all the way into the half and set up with Sarabia or Neto. Neto should have scored maybe. They were able to run through the middle of Man United, half because the press wasn't working, half because Mount, Fernandes, Rashford and Antony were disconnected from Casemiro, who had too much space because the shape had too much depth for me. So they're leaving too much depth between the centre-back and the forward. Then they weren't able to then get into counter-press. There's too much space to cover. Wolves were nice and compact and narrow. They were able to always show the ball where they wanted to go. The Man United press didn't work either. So Man United were kind of limp in possession, and they did not affect the game really out of possession either. So how did they win the game? I don't know, because Man United definitely got very lucky. Expected goals and underlying numbers suggest Wolves are much better. The eyes tell you that they were much better as well. Wolves should also definitely have had a penalty, because Onana tried to power cuddle a couple of players in the box at once. You can't do that, Andre. So what you had really was a Wolves team that controlled the game in and out of possession. They were much better. They were much better in transition than Man United were. They were much better in slow build-up possession than Man United were. And they were much better out of possession than Man United were. Basically, I've watched this whole game back and I still don't quite see what Man United players are doing, why they're not playing the risky passes, what they're not doing. It looks like that kind of confidence issues from last season. They just don't believe they can fire the pass through. Something's not right with it. I don't think it's the coaching. Ten Hag's a great coach. But then you look at some of the stuff that's going on and it comes down to coaching. So we'll see what happens with Man United. Of course, they'll be fine. They beat Wolves because they've got a World Cup winning, Champions League winning central defender who pops up to score a header inside the box. But good signs for Wolves, bad signs for Man United. But they still got the 3 points, so all in all, none of this matters.
If you like this video, please consider subscribing to the channel. The Athletic is home to some of the world's best sports journalists, including journalists dedicated to each Premier League team, so every fan gets the coverage they deserve, not just the big clubs. And you can try it for free now for 30 days. See the link in the description.